And we're live. Actual recording is higher quality. Objects in the mirror are closer than they may appear.
Hmm. Even on the main channel. Yes, Rocco. We are live. We are live. Hello. Hello,
I'm
Rocco.
busy eating a brownie made by the fearless baker.
Oh, that's good. That is good. The Fearless Baker. That sounds like a good name.
That's Dimpner's name, the fearless baker.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Okay. Hello, good people of the internet. Hello, fellow doom scrollers. Hello, anyone else who might land here.
A
The
better way
millions
community.
and millions of a Better Way community. Hopefully, you're watching it in the future and you already know what we talk about, what we stand for. But for those of you who turn up live and join here today, this is Chetan Narang. You have Rocco Jaman there, almost done with his fearlessly made cookie, brownie rather.
Brownie, yeah.
Yeah. And what we're talking about today is not really something as it's actually something really serious. Like, if you are living geographically close to India, you would know this has been a rather sad week for almost all of us. It's been really unfortunate with whatever has been happening. And then, if you zoom out a little, you would know that it's been a sad year almost globally. We have the everlasting war in Russia and Ukraine. We have the climate crisis going on. We have so many other things, really, that can make you sad, can make you almost overwhelmed. And yeah, that's the current
It's
situation we're
depressing.
in.
It's depressing. It's a
It's
depressing reality. We don't really have language to adequately describe what we're experiencing. We're still trying to hold the conversation very much in the context and mindset that we've become used to over the
yeah.
last. So what I mean by that is most people today that are listening don't remember a time of world war. It's a story.
That is true. Yeah.
And so we don't really have a context for that. And we don't know the enormous value of peace for a world that was at war twice in like 20, 30 years. And that the Second World War lasted for, nearly 5, 6 years. And then even in the aftermath of that, the world was putting the pieces back together. And the peacetime that came afterwards was such a blessing. And then slowly over time, with all of our technological advancements and our cinema and our rapid change, and the internet and the dot-com period, and we've forgotten. We've forgotten how much that once meant to us to live in a time of peace. And the majority of human history, in fact, it was normal to live under threat of invasion, of being taken as slaves, of being
Yeah.
raided. And this was part of our culture. We had stories about this. We appreciated our peace and the village and the safety and the structure and the law and the ordering, so that when the fisherman pissed us off or the lady across the street took too much water from the well, that one day, we saw these things as the normal frictions and tensions that you accept as part and parcel of communal living, because of all the blessings that that community and that village can offer. And now we don't care anymore.
Would you say it's some more than others, or at some level it's almost the state of it's almost the default state that humans inhabit these days?
Oh, we're uninitiated into the depth of that context and reality. So it's probably we have different cultural contexts depending on where we live in the world. But I would say that it's much more of a norm. We're all children of the modern era that we're born into, that raises us. We're all children of this era. We're all children of the past. So I think there's a sameness, but there are differences. Now I just want to bring everybody in to the conversation here today. So once a week, Chetan and I commit to going live. Uh, the aim is to engage with a growing community. It's going to be a bit tricky at first because nobody quite knows what we're doing and what's happening and why we're doing it and all the rest of it. And we've got different campaigns. We've got a campaign of high-minded writing and persuasive argument that's happening on Substack, We've got a combination of engagements happening on the main YouTube channel. So maybe you can talk to us about those changes that you've made to the YouTube channel, Chetan.
Yeah.
We've started a company on LinkedIn. There's a separate campaign going out there to business collaborators, thought leaders in the business space. There's so many fronts that we're operating on. It can seem chaotic, and the typical advice that I would get is, "Oh, you've just got to simplify things for people." No, we've got to initiate people into the reality of a mature response to a polycrisis. We have to be in many places. We have to be talking at many different levels. This has to be salient and relevant. Chetan's doing product launches on YouTube. He's doing teaching videos on YouTube. I'm talking about tarot and archetype. There's a place for all of these. These things are all necessary. Yeah. And so this is one place that we get together weekly, yeah, for a cadence so that we can entrain to a rhythm where we want to welcome the whole community into a kind of town hall, a kind of podcast update, explaining current events, giving announcements as to what's going on in the project, explaining the project, running Ask Me Anything sessions. And if you're watching this, this is what you're watching. This is what you're watching, right? And so our project runs agile. Sometimes you'll see agile sessions. This is the alternative week where we're just riffing, we're just talking. And what we've decided to talk about this week is the state of the world, current events from our perspective, so that we can give you our take on war, on the erosion of our culture, and what we're recognizing accurately as a polycrisis and a meta crisis. So I'll hand back to you, Chetan.
And I would also want to add something there, Rocco. The fact that right now, like I started with it, geographically, if you're close to India, if you're close to Pakistan, all you would be seeing on your social media, across all of your even WhatsApp stories, etc., is something to do with the war, but something to do with picking a side in the war and thumping your chest or ridiculing the other side, etc., etc. And all of those things, we understand all of that. We understand everything that is going on. At some level, both of us, Rocco and myself, understand the inevitability of the war that is happening here. But what we still understand is the more relevant, the more salient conversation to be had is still the conversation of what is a better way going forward. And that is why we're here right now. I mean, amongst everything that is happening, amongst everything that is moving, every sane person in the world right now, we still feel the more salient, the more relevant conversation to be had is the fact that we are all uninitiated adolescents right now, the human species completely, and how can we initiate ourselves towards a more adult perspective, a more adult way of acting in the world. And that is why we are here. That is why we want to discuss all of this, right?
Now, can I start with a little game sort of a thing?
Awesome. Go on.
You see, this is Maya's playing blocks. They're magnetic. They click together like this, So you can make different shapes out of this. Now, we know what this is. We know what this is. This is a cube, yeah?
A cube, yeah.
And a cube's made up of squares that have got two dimensions, an x-axis and a y-axis, yeah. Now, imagine every time we try and understand an issue or an issue is presented to us, yeah, it's presented in two dimensions. There's always some dimension of depth or context that's missing in the world, yeah. Whether it's a headline, a news item, something in a conversation that somebody is saying, a piece of content online, especially the content that we are talking about, is always so multidimensional, yeah.
Yeah, true.
But do you know that if you take a two-dimensional slice of a cube, what do you think it makes?
A two-dimensional slice of a cube.
If I take a two-dimensional slice of a cube, what shape does it make?
It'll be a square?
You think like this, huh?
I think so.
What happens if I told you it was sometimes like this?
It'll depend on the plane along which you're coming.
Now we're cooking with gas. So what we're saying is if the two-dimensional plane, let's say the face, the interface that you are reading a piece of news is is square. It's straight. It's aligned. It's that means as you encounter the face of an issue straight on, and this just becomes a series of squares. Yeah. But what happens if you're encountering an issue like this, and you're looking at
Yeah.
on the surface level, and somebody says to you, "What are you looking at?" You'll say, "It's a triangle," and they'll say, "No, it's not a whole square."
Is it a triangle or is it a diamond, Rocco? Is it a
Well,
slightly rhombus shape?
let me show you.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you it badly because I'm not rehearsed for this, but let
But I
me
understand what
explain.
you mean. If it's a cone, you look at it from above, it looks like a triangle. That sort of a
Yeah,
thing, right?
but let me share my screen so we can help each other get there. Yeah.
Hmm.
So if I have a uh, if I have a I've got a square here. Yeah.
Your screen isn't sharing right now, Rocco.
Wow. How about that?
Yes. Now we can see it.
Yeah.
And it's
So
the
I've got
famous
that one.
PowerPoint.
Yeah, famous old power. I use PowerPoint for everything. So let's say I've got this one and that one, and then in between that now is this shape.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, nice. I can already see some depth.
Right. So now I've got one of these, and then I've got another one of these, let's say, and then I've actually theoretically I've got this too now. You know,
Yeah.
because I've got this now at the bottom,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I've got another color. Let's call it this pink on top. You know. So there's actually 6 sides to this. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
However, if I took this shape here and I was intersecting those three, look at the shape it makes.
I'm still trying to visualize Rocco.
Let me put it to you another way. If I went in at this corner here,
Okay. From 45 degrees,
correct? Look,
top of this corner. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Now I
Okay.
can
Yeah.
see that if I was going at an angle, it
Yeah.
would look like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I can see the triangle now.
really, that plane that is being offered to me is something like this. Something like that, right? And it's just cutting through in one corner.
Yeah. Sort of focusing the lens
So if
in
you
this manner.
imagine the perspective is closer to me, and it's arriving from further away to the left, and it's moving towards me, and it's going through that dull yellow plane, and the little triangle that's sticking out is the bit above the surface. I would say that this is a triangular pyramid, and I would say at a 2D level, it's a triangle.
It's a triangle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that now.
Correct. Now imagine, this is where it gets fun. Imagine this plane is warped based on your cultural context, the perspective you're looking at it, whether you're from India, whether you're from Pakistan, whether you read this news item or that news item. Things start looking at, now this thing changes shape. Now even the people that see this as a triangle are going to start seeing this depending on how that cube is turned. Yeah, am I making sense?
Yes. 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 You mean
Right.
some will see a different shape in the
Correct,
triangle.
correct.
Yeah.
Now imagine it was even coming at you like this. All you would see is a line with this divided and that divided.
Yeah. Yeah. True. True.
Right.
True.
And then somebody else will say, no, no, I'm telling you, it's a hexagon. I'm telling you.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
Because you can see it's a hexagon here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You aren't
But
lying. You aren't lying when you're saying that.
correct.
But
Correct. Correct. Now these things are not even squares or cubes. They're complex. You can't understand geopolitics in a tweet or a soundbite or a headline but now the news media needs you to believe that the whole news is the soundbite or the headline because That's the thing that's going to get shares and likes and get people screaming at each other so that you can get on Facebook, so that you can generate more energy. Facebook helped orchestrate a genocide in Myanmar. Not because they're evil or they hate the people of Myanmar, the Rohingya minority, the Muslim minority, just because they like clicks and engagement, and they see everything as a business. So if one political party with a bad intention comes along and says, we want to run this campaign, we don't want you to block it, we want you to allow it, here's some extra money under the table, look the other way. They'll just look the other way. Meta is doing that in China right now. While India is fighting with Pakistan, China is doing something else that's scary. They invaded Tibet. What did everybody do? Nothing. They took over Hong Kong. What did everybody do? The people were out in the street in their millions, and Facebook helped them implement technology, facial recognition technology, suppression on social media, so they could squash that uprising. And now what do you hear about Hong Kong today?
Nothing almost.
Nothing. Yeah. Very soon, every single problem that doesn't have a commercial interest, you will just hear nothing about. And you think that the game being played on you is, and it's not Facebook. Facebook's just another piece. Facebook is a pawn on the board.
Facebook
yeah?
is another pawn. Yeah.
It's this level of commercial corporate interest. You know, we spoke yesterday, Chetan and I. You don't understand how much $1 billion is. If you earned $20,000 US dollars a month, it would take you, how many did we say? Something like 50 months to make $1 million.
To make $1 million, yeah.
Yeah. It would
if
take
you're putting
you
everything aside, if you're saving everything, right?
Yeah.
You're not spending money.
Yes. Every
Everything is going into your savings account.
single penny.
Yeah.
Every single penny. So we're saying
50 months to $1 million, and that means
let me share the
math.
Hmm.
Let's share the exact numbers.
So let's say you got a very healthy salary. Yeah, 20,000. That's a lot of money. So let's say clear that, and I wanted to make
$1 million.
1 million. And I divide it by my $20,000 a month. That's going to mean I take 50 months to do that. Now, $1 billion is 1,000 times that. So let's times that by 1,000. Oh, it's going to take me 50,000 months. So let me divide that by 12. It's going to take me 4,000 years to make $1 billion. Okay. Now we understand how big $1 billion is. Right. The people who are billionaires are not initiated well-wishers for humanity. They are as stupid as your fucking neighbor across the street. Clever in business, but as unwise as the person across the road or that you were talking to on the bus that you think is a fucking idiot because they can't understand some facts, because they see everything. They see only corners of this the way they need to see it, or they care about it. And they surround themselves by echo chambers. They've got people that work for them that tell them everything that they think is amazing and clever. They have access to designer drugs. They've got nobody to stop them, nobody to caution them, because their power goes to their head. On what basis do you think these people are wise, spiritually grounded, psychologically mature? They're not.
Yeah.
Right. And these are the people that are actually also themselves in some way pawns in a game where at some point in time, there's a runaway process that if you take how we trade energy and attention in life, how do we trade energy and attention? How do we commoditize energy and attention? We commoditize it via money. Power.
All right. Yeah.
Intentionality. Yeah. So there is some attention that you get that you can commoditize as likes and followers. But then that has quite a strong correlation with money. There's a parity between those two. The one is a cryptocurrency and the other one is a fiat currency. Attention is a cryptocurrency. It's not exactly tethered, and somebody can shoot up in cryptocurrency and then become rich in the other one. Yeah. So you can get lots of attention on Instagram or Facebook or podcasts or something, and then because of that power, people want you to sell their products. So then you get rich because you
You get actually rich in that sense. I mean,
correct.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now that system only works when there's enough to go around for everyone. Democracy is an illusion. It's an illusion that you sustain because everybody has the illusion of still having a voice. In the language that I spoke when I grew up, it was called Afrikaans. It's a Dutch derivative European language that we spoke in Africa, in a Dutch colony. And to vote means to stem. Stem is your voice. It means to be able to make your mark, to be able to voice your intention. Yeah. How do you voice your intention today? Do you think it's via voting? No, it's via social media. It's via your consumption of subscription services.
And that too is mostly an illusion. We use that to voice our opinions. We feel that it voices our opinions, but it's an illusion at so many
Yeah, but
levels.
let
It's
me
not
ask
your
you, how
opinion.
much stake have you got in the global conversation? You, Chetan, you've got how many followers on this YouTube channel?
7.8 thousand.
And we've got a population of 9 billion, of which let's
9
say
billion.
4 billion of them are internet users. Yeah. And then YouTube is engineered and rigged in such a way that even the people who follow this don't see your content.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how much stake have you got in the attention game?
Close to zilch.
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah.
You on Facebook that's screaming about Muslims or vice versa. What do you think you're doing? Whose game are you playing? Are you think you're convincing anyone? Do you think this angry rant that you had, this 10 cents comment that you is a version of a 10 cents comment that somebody else said? This juvenile fucking chest bumping bullshit that you're doing online. Now, what do you whose game do you think you're playing? Do you think you're changing the world conversation with this?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You're not.
We ain't. We're
You're
not
adding
winning.
outrage to an outrage engine that is meaningless. And the players of power in the world that decide what's going to happen with your future and your children's future and their children's future do not give a fuck about any of your memes, your arguments, your posts, your videos, your comments, your opinions, your bullshit. So now all of your energy and attention is captured into this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now go to the other side of the equation, the money side of the equation. What do you think war is about?
So many levels, huh, Rocco? What do we think war is about?
Yeah, war, a nuclear armament is there to protect national interest.
Yeah.
So look at the leader, the thought leader of that project. Who's the thought leader of that project? Which country is that in this world today?
Is
The
that
thought
US?
leader of the project that you put military might together to protect your national interest. Who's the leader of that game?
US.
The US. Right.
Yeah.
What are they trying to protect?
The US. The fact that they can have the most power, the most money. Yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
This is all about money. The industrial military complex is about selling military equipment. War is important. It's a business. It needs to happen. It's no different to the attention economy. It's no different to the attention economy on social media. It's important that wars keep being fought so that people keep engaging on the platform and stop asking any important questions. In the real world, it's important that wars now happen so that people keep buying equipment and paying for cybersecurity and satellites and this. It's an industry. Do you think the cancer industry is more concerned about curing cancer or treating cancer?
Yeah. From the business standpoint, of course, treating cancer.
Treating it. So you want cancer to continue because otherwise,
Yeah.
if the treatment dries up, we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
You just don't want to be overwhelmed. But the playing with the carcinogenic food and the healthy habits and the education of it, not everybody is all playing the same game. Some people are trying to get some people to stop this. Some people are raising awareness. Some people are selling things. Some people are selling insurance. Some people are selling pharmaceuticals. These are capitalist intentionalities. And at some basic level, they don't want the industry to disappear.
You're
That
right in
means,
saying at some basic level. At different levels, all these different players want to keep playing the game, want to keep playing the game that's making them sick too, but they
yes,
want to
now
keep
the
playing
mom
it.
and dad that get into that kind of crusade, they doing it because they devastated that their child got sick or that their mom got sick or something like that. Totally
Mm.
understand. So there's
Yeah.
exceptions to this. But
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
people with the attention and with the money,
Mm.
the energy and attention, yeah. Because what
Mm.
is money? Money is energy commoditized as a token because I have to spend so much energy and in my time, I have to invest
Mm.
my energy for that company so they can give me a salary so that I can pay my rent, so that I can,
Mm.
yeah, so that I can buy food, so that I can get energy, so that I can invest a little bit of my attention with my
Mm.
children or on a holiday. Or it's all about energy and attention, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And but now you've got energy and attention, right?
Mm.
And then
Mm.
you've got them with money and internet attention economy.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so
Mm.
now, is the world organized to try and help us curate our energy and attention? Or is it organized and engineered to help co opt our energy and attention?
Of
Which
course.
one is it? It's so clearly the co opting,
Yeah.
which means the thing that you think is happening in the world is not happening. The thing that's happening in the world is not the argument between India and Pakistan. That's at a lower level inside the matrix that somebody else has helped, that you are helping create by your deep and emotional engagement with all of this.
So at
And
that
if you
level, it
can't,
is happening. Sorry, go on, Rocco.
yes, it's not
Please
to
say that.
say that there's not a missile being fired or there wasn't a victim of that
Yeah,
terrorist attack. That's
yeah,
not the point. The
yeah.
point is, you think that's the whole of the game. You think that's the chess match being played, and our team needs to beat their team.
Mm.
Even when you beat their team, there's a game happening above your game of people co opting your energy and attention. And when that war is over, they'll find something else for you to fucking stress about. And it'll
Mm.
always be something.
Yeah.
You know, look at the news. It was COVID, 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 Ukraine. Then no
Mm.
one talked about COVID anymore. Then we
Mm.
were talking about Ukraine, and suddenly, until Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars. Then it was the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Then it was the Israel Palestine
Mm.
7th of October. We're just like this greyhound dogs chasing a fake rabbit around a track. Who creates the track? Who decided that the finding out the answers to the scandemic or the pandemic or whatever it was it a lab leak? There's arguments on both sides, and a lot of people on both sides are making sense.
Mm. Mm.
Can you really answer that question in your heart and say you know for sure, or do you just want to believe an answer? The truth is, you want to believe an answer because it suits you, but you know who we need to solve those answers? Newspapers, journalists, news
Mm.
media. Their job used to be keeping the public informed, being watchdogs for over exercise of control of
Mm.
corporations, of governments, of people who are not culpable for their account for their choices, their actions. Now they've become businesses.
Yeah.
Now countries have become businesses.
Yeah.
Do you think your religion is not a business?
Mm. Mm.
Do
Mm.
you think? Why do you think the Catholics nominated and crowned a American Pope? Why do you think? Why do you think they did that? They did that because they need somebody who can play the game, because they're losing the game, and they want to win. Also, right? It's all a business. It's all a business, and if you don't wake up to that, nothing that you argue about is going to make any long-term difference.
That's really the meta crisis, right, Rocco? That
Well,
really
that's the meta
is
crisis. The meta crisis
the
is
meta
even
crisis.
beyond that. It's the fact that you've got many tens of thousands of years of human evolution and
Mm.
journey and struggle and effort to get us to this point. And the meta crisis is that if we don't wake up to our accountability and responsibility and what is possible, and we don't take the authorship of our own story from this point onwards, we don't only lose our opportunity to thrive and survive, we take that opportunity away from all future generations who could open their eyes to the world, and we piss all over the loss and the effort, the squandering, the wars, the mistakes, all of that we've made throughout human history. That's the fucking meta crisis, yeah? Because even the most grounded and inspired and informed astrophysicists that really are calmly just appreciating the enormity of our meta crisis will tell us that we can't prove that there are advanced species that can flourish elsewhere in the world, that we're not rare. Even if there are other kinds of aliens, it can be that in that vast expanse of space, this little pale blue dot is the only place to harbor life. And even if it isn't, it's the only one that harbored our story.
Yeah, yeah. And we stand to lose our story now. That's
Yeah.
that's the extent of the
That's the meta
problem.
crisis, right? Now, the poly crisis is the fact that it's geopolitical instability. It's a derangement of our psychology and nervous systems by the normal framework that we live by social media. It's the economic collapse. It's the widening gap between the haves and the have-nots to the point where you don't have a stake in the game of life, in the attention economy or the money economy, which means you can't decide how to spend your energy and attention or how to invest your energy and attention. And there's a word for that. It's cattle. That's what cattle can't choose how to invest its energy and attention. It gets put in a fucking battery farm, and its life is to become a product for something else. That is what you are becoming. That is what we are all becoming. And the gap between our ability to rebel against that is being taken away from us. And our ability to rebel against that isn't about the size of the stick you can pick up or the argument you can have against somebody online. The ability to rebel against that is the degree to which you are in charge of your own sovereignty. So first of all, your rights are being taken away that you don't even know about because you're arguing about an enemy that is being set against you while you are being set against them ideologically. And secondly, even if you have some liberties still available to you, you don't know how to wield them. You don't know how to arrange your own energy and attention because you're not initiated. You don't know what the fuck you're dealing with. You're just a bumbling adolescent fool in this much, much bigger game. And that doesn't mean you're stupid or you're uninformed. It just means you're uninitiated. This is not about intelligence or about competency. It's about familiarity. It's about being inducted into a competency in a process. If you take somebody, a clever person, and you put them into a work environment where there's complex processes that have been developed, it doesn't matter how clever they are. They can't just figure it out on their own. And if everybody's figuring it out on their own, they can't communicate. They all need to be inducted and initiated into a common language, a common framework. That doesn't mean you all have to think the same. It means you all need to speak the same language. We don't have the same psychological language. We don't have the same cultural language. We don't have the same language to figure out what is most relevant, what is most beneficial for all of humanity, for ourselves. We don't understand these basic concepts.
And that's the project.
That's the meta crisis. And the poly crisis is climate crisis, economic
Yeah, the different manifestations
inequality,
of that meta crisis.
fucking the wars everywhere. The yeah, it's a poly crisis. Yeah. Do we have any
And
questions?
let me check the chat. No, there aren't any questions right now, Rocco. Um, Something that I always keep thinking about, Rocco. This is something I think we have talked about previously also on a Better Way platform on a number of occasions. But what we are talking about is the fact that, like you said, tens of thousands of years, rather millions of years of evolution has brought us up to this point. And I read it in one of your books. These were your words. Nature has turned all of its dials, and it can't turn the dial anymore for us.
It ushered
We
us
have
to this point. Yeah.
Yeah. And now with the stage of evolution that life with a capital L is on, it has evolved us human beings, us agents of life who have conscious choice, who can make conscious choice. Not to say that we have the free will to impact every single thing that goes on in our life, but there is a
Yeah.
degree to which we have free will. And everything that Rocco has just explained, how our attention, how our energy is being co opted, that is how your free will is actually being taken away from you. If you are busy with the busiest thing that the world is busy in, that's what's keeping you occupied. And there will always be something that keeps you occupied, and you will always feel that this is the most relevant, the most salient problem to be solving. You will always feel that, right? That's how you're co-opted. And if you keep getting yourself engaged in that, your own free will is what is getting deranged. It is what is getting eroded away from under your feet, and you
And
don't
it's
even
not your
realize it.
free will, it's your sovereignty. Free will is just like free energy. You have
Hmm.
a budget of it in any moment.
Hmm.
So, how much energy have I got? I can run around the block so many times until now I can increase my fitness.
Hmm.
But just here, this moment now, I will do lift weights to a point, and then
Yeah.
there'll be no more free energy in my body. My body will
Yeah.
start to crash. Right. That is
Hmm.
what free will is. Free will is the amount of wriggle room, the choice, the spacious way in which you can exercise choices in this
Hmm.
moment. Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's
Hmm.
not an endless capacity. It's a budget limited to this moment, constrained
Hmm.
by I can't lift any weights.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I can only lift weights to a certain capacity. I
Hmm.
can't throw them across the room. I can only, there's a mechanics and a physics involved. It's the
Yeah.
same with will, right?
Yeah.
There's limitations to these things. But even what you can do, you are the equivalent of a couch potato
Hmm.
whose muscles are atrophying while you've got this emotional blubber and confusion, right? And you're in a fugue state from eating too much cheese curls. And
Hmm.
this is not a healthy system. So,
Hmm.
what kind of effective energy can a couch potato have? Not great. Now, what's the psychological, mental equivalent of that from a free will perspective? It means you've got muscles that are atrophied that you've never used,
Hmm.
you've never built up, you've never
Hmm.
created a fitness
Hmm.
and a kinesthetic,
Hmm.
somatic wisdom or understanding or knowing of yourself to know what is and isn't possible. That is what a sovereignty quotient is. You can
Hmm.
develop that. And currently, that's not even a thing that you know how to develop.
Yeah.
It's like meditation.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
You don't know how mindful you can be until you practice mindfulness for a year.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
That's so
ah.
true. That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Now, you don't know how much free will you can flex until you start working with whatever free will is there and practice
hmm.
your limits. And it's like a yoga, right? Whatever your
Hmm.
limits are, you can lean into them and start defying them over time. Now, some of free will is like muscle, some of free will is like yoga, some of free will is like breath work, some of free will is like there's this sense of conviction we get inside of us,
Hmm.
and we have to battle stories. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
the biggest part of meditation, of mindfulness, the biggest battle is realizing. I don't mean realizing by saying the words. I mean actually, like, oh my God, this is my deep, basic understanding that my mind is its own thing. That I am
Hmm.
not the author. There is an authorship of thoughts that is doesn't have a who did it. There is no who. It's just a thing that happens,
Hmm. Hmm.
like a muscle twitch. Yeah, or like the deep metabolism that's happening in your muscle. You're not deciding to convert adenosine triphosphate into something in your mitochondria. Fuck, man, you're not even aware of all that shit's just happening. There is things like that too. That what you eat depends on your availability of energy. And how much water you have changes this. There's a whole metabolism going on of free will as well. This is a complex thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's your ideas. It's your story that you believe is possible. It's the limits that you're prepared to push. It's the fears that you're prepared to face. There's so much. Anyway, we don't
And
have to carry on too long today either, man. I just thought we could talk about the state of the world, and I think this was an important message, and we can pretty much wrap it up there. But
I think so too. I think we have covered at a very meta level. We have also explained, and this is the thing, right, Rocco? When you talked about the cube and the fact that you look at it from different angles and you see different shapes, it's so true. That's probably the only way you can explain what is going on in the world right now. But then someone who's looking at that one particular shape and is so fucking invested in that shape will look at you and say that you're just, what is the word? You're gaslighting what they're seeing, right? Very easily, very easily, all of this can be misinterpreted as if
yeah,
this
man.
is gaslighting the reality that so many millions and billions of people
You
are
know,
actually
we've got a
facing.
toddler, yeah. And we tell her that she has to brush her teeth or she can't eat too much ice cream or something. Do you think she thinks that she understands nutrition? Do you think she understands nutrition? Do you
No, of
think she
course,
thinks I'm gaslighting her? A little bit.
a
Do
little
you
bit,
think
yeah.
she cares about any of the depth of concern that I have about her tooth decay or not being able to sleep tonight or getting fat and unhappy because she'll be unhealthy? She doesn't understand any of that other context. So in her little mind, like mommy and daddy are just being unkind. She doesn't know that there's black or there's white. But whoa, 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 my, there's 1,000 shades of gray in between black and white. And there's nuance here. But the whole point of being initiated and growing up and maturing is appreciating and discerning nuance and realizing that not everybody who disagrees with you is gaslighting you. You know that triangle? There's the right way, there's my way, and then there's the transcendent way, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know where I've drawn that, but you know what I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah. It is
Now,
in the corporate book of the day too, Rocco. You can show the three dots if
no,
that
no,
is
no.
the
I mean
place you're going.
your way, their way, and then the
Oh,
beneficial way.
yes, yes, yes. That was in one of your Facebook posts too. But
Right.
yeah,
So
that.
I'll just share this. I don't know where that picture is, but let me just share this quickly, right?
Yeah.
So just imagine we're all in a human tent, yeah, and the tent will make it this color, yeah, and this floor will say you can't crash below the floor, and here's the tent pole, yeah, and the Muslims are pulling. Let's give them a nice green color, yeah, are
Yeah.
pulling that way, and the Hindus are pulling that way. There's the two colors of India, yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
yeah. And what's going to happen if they win? The tent pole will fall over this way and collapse, or this way and collapse. That's the fact of it, yeah. And every time, the more you push this way, the actual force that gets exerted is that. And every time the orange pulls that way, the actual force that gets exerted is that. Make sense?
It does. Yeah.
So let's just make that like a gray color and make that a yellow color. Yeah, now everyone's telling themselves that now just think about this, right? This is what the Muslims believe they're doing. This is what the Hindus believe they are doing.
Hmm.
They think this is up.
Hmm.
They think this is up.
Hmm.
They think this is up.
Hmm.
And no matter what they do, what's going to happen is this: the tent will collapse. This will happen. Because the more you pull it down, the more it gets
Hmm.
flattened. And so now what you have is you have a power brokerage that sits here, high and dry, above the whole mess, untouchable, controlling everything, while you fucking idiots all sit here and pull the tent down, convinced that you're winning something. Yeah. So for every argument in the world, there is the way that we are so sure is right, and there's the thing that we're pulling against. In America, it's this. In America,
Red, blue.
there's
Red,
uh,
blue.
the red and the blue.
Yeah.
Now, these people are trying to move back into a conservative view, and these
Hmm.
people are trying to move towards a progressive view. They're zealous about progress and they're zealous about tradition.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
The idealized ones are rose tinted. They just, everything's going to be amazing.
Hmm.
Some people believe everything's going to be shit.
Hmm.
Some people believe everything's fatalistic. Some people just want to be anarchic. Some
Hmm.
people have an idealized future, and some people have an idealized past.
Hmm.
Yeah. There's a word for this symbol. It's called chaos. Because there's no, this is where I want to play
Hmm.
emergence and coherence.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Another way of looking at it is you're either informed and empowered and well intended. But usually people are 2 out of 3.
Hmm.
If they're well intended and empowered, they're not informed.
Hmm.
So I've got goodwill. I think I'm
Hmm.
doing the right thing. I've got all the power in the world like Bill Gates, but I don't actually know what the most beneficial thing for humanity is.
That's the lack of initiation again, right?
Or I'm Elon Musk. I'm empowered. I'm informed technologically
Technologically.
and
Hmm.
how to manipulate. So it's probably more empowerment than anything else, but I'm not well intended.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
so,
informed seems like the wrong word for even Elon Musk, I think.
yeah, it's maybe
Oh,
that's
in
a
that
better word. Yeah, but I
in
mean,
that
you get
sense,
the point, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
And so,
what's really missing is the
what I mean,
initiation
what I
part.
mean by informed is think of somebody as an expert,
Hmm.
the academic experts.
Hmm.
He's an expert in this, but he's not empowered to make change. Or he's an
Hmm.
expert in this and he's well intended, like Andrew Huberman. He knows everything and he means well, but he's got no power to change the elite. The elite are empowered, but they're not intended and they're not informed about what everybody needs. So here's academic experts, here's the meek, here's the masses, here's the conservationists, here's the Machiavellian people, here's the social justice champions. They're well intended and empowered, but they're not informed.
Hmm.
So it's a mess. It's a mess. And now we've got this.
Hmm.
So this symbol is chaos in the middle, yeah?
Hmm.
And they think everything is within us or behind us, conservative, strongly inclined towards preservation of the old model. Now, Hindus and Muslims are both this.
Yeah, yeah. I was about to say that all of these camps exist in all of the camps, right?
Yes,
All of this
yes,
exists everywhere.
yes.
Yeah.
There's some people that just want to tear everything down.
Yeah. Fuck society. Fuck everything.
Yes, there's some people that are so idealistic they believe everything that's new is progress.
Yeah.
And all growth and change is good.
Yeah. We laugh at the old fashions,
Yeah,
but
there's
we
some people
forget
that
that.
believe nothing we have now is worth preserving, and everything that we need is over there, over the hill.
Mm.
And they've got an opposite, and they've got an opposite, and they've got an opposite, and they've got an opposite. And
Yeah.
so on the right, on the Muslim side,
Mm.
they are within Islam, they're
Mm.
arguing against themselves,
Mm.
and then they are arguing with um, the conservatives of the Hindu side.
Mm. 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 Mm.
It's just a joke.
Mm.
Here's another picture. A fish eye is if you imagine a lens that's warped so that when you see things they look bigger than they actually are.
Mm. Mm.
So like a
Mm.
magnifying glass, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Mm.
where you think things are in the middle for you and they make sense, there's a distortion of what you
Mm.
call normal. But you're normal as a family Muslim, or you're normal as a young Hindu, or you're normal as a, you've got this sense of righteousness super distorted on your Overton window with the fishbowl that you live in. Yeah.
Mm.
And
Mm.
everything left of you is unthinkable, and everything to right of you is unthinkable. It's radical, but this is what's acceptable here, and this is what's sensible. This is, so I've got moderate views, I've got conservative views, and my view is perfect. But you don't realize that this thing is a Mebius strip. It turns around in on itself. Because unthinkable and unthinkable, at the back of the curtains, it's all black. You know? Oh dear, Chetan.
Got to become
Oh dear.
aware of this game. I'm thinking now, Roku. We
Mm.
are almost close to the end of this call. We're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
going
yeah.
to solve this chaos
No, no, no,
in
no. We're
this
just
call,
talking
of
about the
course not.
poly crisis, and I think half the
Yeah,
solution is waking up
waking up.
to the actual problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, And I'll iterate it just once more, just so that it lands just one more time. None of this means that the problems that you're facing are not real problems.
Or that they
None
don't
of
have
this
real
means.
world consequences. They do. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. But one of the things to realize is that this is the bigger problem that all of us are facing. This is the more relevant conversation to be had, because until this is
The
solved,
most beneficial
yeah,
to address.
the most beneficial to address. Because until
Yeah.
this is addressed, we will have another version of the problem that is pinching you, irritating you right now. We just will have that. And I think we have discussed it ample times already. This will keep happening over and over and over again. And that's why this is the most beneficial conversation to be had. As simple as that.
Yeah, but
As silly
Jarman's
as
law
that.
states that the more relevant information is to solving a problem, the least likely it will be considered relevant by the people who need it most, and the
Yeah.
more energetically it will be rejected by so called experts.
Hmm. And how do we look to counter that, Rocco? Now it's just you and me, man. Now it's just you and me.
Initiation.
Tell me.
Initiation. So
Initiation.
my child still thinks ice cream is the top cuisine, because for her, all that life is about is enjoyment, not appreciation. And so appreciation only comes with maturity, but you have to teach someone appreciation until they can appreciate appreciation.
Hmm.
Only when she starts making the connection between her emotional welfare and her physical welfare,
Hmm.
her psychological welfare and her diet and her exercise. And you have to teach somebody that. Yeah. I have to initiate her into that. I have to make that journey informative, safe, which means I need to show up as a leader and make her learn to trust me and learn to trust us. That doesn't happen overnight. That happens over a long period of time.
Hmm. Hmm.
But luckily, with adults, it can be a bit different. You can say to somebody, "Do you want to learn jujitsu?" And they say, "Yes." "Do you want to learn yoga?" "Yes." "Okay, you need to be initiated into yoga. Come to a few classes." Now, we do it casually, but that doesn't mean you have to do it casually. You can do it a little bit more deliberately. You
Hmm.
can
Hmm.
slowly show someone, okay, this is the mat. This is called a role. This is how a role happens. This is what everyone's doing. This is the game everyone's playing. This is how you can stop the game. This is how you can start the game. This is the options you've got in the game.
Hmm.
That's why it's called the sacred game, right? Now we want to invite people into the sacred game. I want to run a circle. So the 20-day live is an initiatory arc. It's a thing that you can do for yourself, and with our guidance, you can actually figure out what it's initiating you into. The Hearth and the Well, the book that I wrote, is an initiatory arc. The book Stepping Through I wrote is an initiatory arc. The series that I'm running now with tarot cards, going through each of the archetypes, is an initiatory arc. All of these initiatory arcs are like, if you play Skyrim or Tomb Raider or such games, there's these kind of side quests or skill trees that you're building in the game, so that in the end, when you're having your boss fights, you like leveled up in a few different areas. All we're trying to do is help people, to show them that there's different ways in which you can level up and practice and incorporate into your daily life. And when you start figuring out what those things are, we're going to help you with some of them. We're going to collaborate with other people that can do other cool shit. But what we're trying to do is put together a community so that we've got a community response to this polycrisis. So it's multivalent, multi-threaded, different kinds of. There's going to be people talking about diet, about practices, parenting, about work-life balance, about corporate leadership, design,
Spirituality. The list of
spirituality. There's so many sides to this game. We're complex human beings. There's no simple answers, right?
yeah, yeah.
But we can give you the foundations, the 101, and then I've got specialties. Chetan's got some specialties. We're going to attract other people with some specialties. I've got a lot of specialties, man. I've got a lot to teach, a lot to
I
teach.
know.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, and it's useful. It's useful. If you think about it, I initiated my wife. I initiated you. You used to think one thing was happening in the world, and now you understand that something. Oh my God, this is such a deeper game. Yeah.
You know
Now,
what, Rocco? That is
yes,
that is probably what I realize even now, that there are more levels to this game that I still want to understand from you. I still want
yes,
to get better at
yes,
this, right?
yes.
Rather than saying that my cave is the furthermost that I can be in, it's like the level has expanded for me, where I know that there is more possibility, more potentiality, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I'm
We've got
grateful
that lovely
to have you,
diagram that we share so often, because it's
Rocco.
so powerful. It's this one here, yeah.
Rocco's caves.
Yeah, so this is Plato's cave, but these are
Yeah,
Rocco's caves. And what we're saying is it's just caves all the way up.
yeah,
There's always bigger paradigms, and it's not even that there's only one up. This will have lots of exits that
yeah,
all go, and these caves will converge in a kind of fractal complex higher up. Yeah, there's lots of ways up here,
yeah.
musically, somatically, spiritually, psychologically, and this is why I call it spelunking, because that's how you learn to climb these difficult wriggle spots.
Hmm.
The person that's stuck looking at the back wall of this cave, he'll tell you that you are gaslighting him
Yeah.
until he works out how the cave works.
Hmm.
And then when you try and bring him into this initiation, you say to him, this is the way to go. He'll say, it's dangerous, it's scary. You're not safe because you're trying to take me into a dangerous place. How do you take the baby out of the womb into the world? They have to go through the birth canal. It is difficult and dangerous. But you know how that baby gets there? They have to make the first choice that anything makes in life, which is, I want to fight for my life. But the person trying to help you out of the womb is not your enemy.
Hmm.
There's a story. I used to work in an office building, and we all went for a run at lunch, and we came back, and now there's this a door downstairs and the spiral staircase into this area that used to be like squash courts, and where people drop their bikes off before they start work, and the change rooms are there, and the lockers are there. Now this bird's gotten in, and now suddenly the David Attenborough in Everybody Comes Alive. We all want to save this bird now. People are fucking trying to hit it with squash rackets, throw t-shirts on it. What are they trying to do with that bird?
They're trying to save themselves.
How do you think the bird's reacting?
Oh, it's gonna fight back.
Fucking hell. It's trying to escape these hairy apes that are trying to
Ah.
catch it. Right.
Hmm.
There's nothing now. There's no grace in that activity, right? But there's a threshold beyond which you can't come with 1,000% grace and still catch the bird.
Say that again, Rocco.
You want to clean the fishbowl and take the fish out of the small fishbowl and put them into the river. That fish does not want to be caught. It's convinced that this monster hand that's coming in to fetch it is going to kill it, right?
Yeah.
The first initiation is frightening. Now, you can do that with an animal or a child. We can't do that with human beings. At some point in time, you have to realize that you're a fucking fish in a fishbowl or a bird stuck in a building. And somebody has to, as kindly as they can manage, try and free you and get you out so that you can live your own life, swim away or fly away. That is all we're trying to do here. But now I must fight with people to come and pay attention to this. You know, it's such a hopeless task.
That's true, man. That's true.
And now
It's
you've got
like
to
you
ask
say.
yourself, are you complicit in your own growth?
Yeah.
Are you resistant to the help that your well-wishers are trying to give you? And do you think Facebook is your well-wisher? Do you think the news is your well-wisher? Do you think these people doing this is a well-wisher? They're not your friends, man. They're not the friends of your soul or your future or of humanity. And humanity needs well-wishers now. We need friends. So don't you want to become one of those friends? Don't you want to become one of the people bringing the temperature in the room down? Don't you want to do that? I want to do that. But I can't do it on my own. We need people to get involved.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit here like a fucking idiot telling a million stories. It's pointless.
Yeah.
Until you get up off your ass and decide to do something about it. And you can't just doom scroll and come and kick the tires every week. I don't care about such engagement. You do you, man. There's other things you could be doing with your time. But if you're here, is nothing in you waking up to say, oh shit, I actually have to get involved. I have to do something here. That's the people I want to work with. Now, I've made it my life's work to understand what smart or what better or what clever or what wise might look like at such a moment and how we be careful. Yeah, because there is no right or only ways, but there are better and worse ways. And even that is a revelation. Even that is a revelation. To say somebody is here sitting claiming to have answers, and the core foundational answer that they have is there's no perfect answers, guys. This is agile. That's the first lesson of grown-up Fight Club, is there is no perfect answer. Stop expecting them. You get involved, you appreciate what work that's been done, and if something really bothers you, you commit to helping fix it. That's what the principles that our humanity should be built upon. So, if you've got criticism about what we're doing, come help make it better. But just be complicit in your own becoming. And you don't have to just be complicit. We can teach you how to product manage your own becoming on every level. Parenting, work, relationships, personal
All the
development.
containers of your life.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Anyway,
You know
that's what
what,
I
Rocco?
thought was worth talking about today. The poly crisis, the meta crisis, and how we respond to that as evolved human beings.
Yeah. And there's a quote that's coming up for me. I've used it multiple times in situations such as this. I know you'll appreciate that. The quote goes something like this: if a pickpocket meets a saint, all he sees are the pockets. And I'm telling you right now, guys, if anyone is listening to this right now, this was a saint talking. And if you see only the pockets, I mean, see, we have all been in situations where, from this quote, we have been the saint and people have looked at only our pockets. All of us have been in those situations, right? But we seldom realize that we are also being pickpockets in various situations in our lives. And if you don't realize the importance and the gravitas of what Rocco just described here, you have been a pickpocket in this situation. Honestly, you have.
Or
And
life
that's
has
all I'll leave.
pickpocketed you of your sense making and your human direction, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the
there are
thing
causes
is,
for being the pickpocket. Yes, yes, there are causes for that. We don't say that you are the one to blame for being a pickpocket here.
yes.
I
Oh,
will not say
but
that.
I'm saying even life can pickpocket you and leave you bare of pocket, and now you think
Yeah.
there's nothing meaningful in life because your that pocket of your sense of your meaning making has been emptied. The fact that it's empty doesn't mean you must look after the last penny in your pocket. It means you must go find out who emptied it. Don't be suspicious of the person trying to point out the hole in your pocket. Yeah, and when Chetan says here is a saint, it doesn't mean me, Rocker, I'm a saint. It means there is an archetype that I embody, that I care about relaying. There's an ideal that I want to live in the world. And so when I show up in this mode, I'm trying to relay that signal. And don't you also want to pick up that signal? Don't you also want to be a saint towards someone, to your children, towards future generations, towards your future self,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. All right. I think we can close off this
Yeah,
space,
yeah,
Rocco.
yeah.
We will
Okay.
be back here next week, same time, Sunday, 8 a.m. IST, 10:30 a.m. Perth Standard Time. We are still working around with this time, but this is the time right now. We are agiling into it, but
And
this
you
is the
can
time
watch it
we'll be
later.
here. You can watch it later, of course. I think Rocco, if anyone is listening to this, they are watching it later, dude.
No, but I mean, there's not an expectation only that you come. If it's not your
Yeah.
time, don't consider yourself uninvited. You're still 100% invited. Just watch it whenever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Alrighty then. We'll close the
Alrighty
stream,
then.
right, Rocco?
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to pause.
Yeah.
Okay. Sayonara.
Until next
Doom
time. Peace
scrollers.
out. Bye bye.